I think this film gave some impressions of how choreographers deal with dance and voice, and seeing these examples, we saw different ways of combining voice and dance. We saw dancers talking on stage, we saw dancers moving to a recorded opera or recorded voice. There are many ways of producing the sound of voice and also many ways of presenting the movements. To start with a more general question, what is so fascinating by combining dance and voice?
Well, first of all, I like to call these two arts, the art of dance and art of voice. They are the two naked art forms. And I explain to you why. If I'm a painter, I need a brush, or at least I need some kind of a paint. If I'm a double bass player, we have this gentleman right in front here in the first row, I need a double bass. If I am a trumpetist, I need a trumpet, and so on, and so on, and so on. But I need only my body if I want to express myself with dance, or I need only my body or my voice to express myself with this instrument. So I call it the naked arts. We don't need extensions. I call these things, piano is an extension of a human body. A brush or paint is an extension of a human body. Trumpet is an extension of a human body. Dance can exist without any extension. Voice can exist without any extension. And this is the beauty of those two art forms, and this is why I have chosen them as one part of this lectureship.
And what is the motivation to combine these two
Well,
forms?
it is. I think it's very obvious, because these two art forms are the oldest art forms of human beings. And some claim that actually the art of dance is the absolutely oldest. That was the primary expression, artistic expression of a human being, spiritual, artistic, racial, and so forth and so forth. And it is very obvious to combine those two forms in a sort of Gesamtkunstwerk. Yeah, you know what is a Gesamtkunstwerk? It's many art forms combined together, or two art forms combined together. So I think it is interesting to look into the possibilities of the range of expressions that a human body, just the body, can give, and the range of expressions that a voice can give. So voice is an instrument that can manifest itself from growling and grunting and heavy breathing and God knows what kind of strange sounds human voice can produce, all the way through expressing ourselves with text, with literature, with poetry, and finally the most sublime art of the human voice is a song, is a melody. So the range is enormous. But the body can do exactly the same. The body can growl and grunt. The body can produce a language. We've seen it in the films. We can make sign language. Or we can express ourselves in an emotional way. Or we can express ourselves in a more abstracted way. So I think there are great similarities between the vocal and the physical expression of human beings.
And when you decide for a piece to work with words and voice, how do you start? Do you develop the words first, or the voice, the sound of voice, or do you write text by yourself? Where do you get the?
It's all different. You know, you saw examples. You remember dancers? This funny piece with dancers with black wigs and a little group of dancers with sort of white skirts doing funny movements. This was the last poem that was ever written by Samuel Beckett, one of the great 20th century writer. And this man, who was one of the greatest jugglers of language and of expression, vocal expression, literature, poetry, he writes this poem called "What is the Word?", which I think is fascinating. Someone who found words for every human expression, every feeling. Suddenly, the last poem he writes, he says, "What's the word? What's the word? I can't remember." Actually, the voice that you heard was me. "What's the word? What's the word?" And he goes to hell. So, I think it's fascinating because it makes a very definite statement. It makes a statement of a great literary giant from Ireland with French background, who actually says at the end of his life that the language is not sufficient enough. We don't have enough words to portray the rainbow of human feelings, of human suffering, of love, of communication, and so forth and so forth. Words are stereotypes, where dance gives us the possibility to fill in the gaps in between. So this is the reason why I think there is a certain legitimacy to combining words or vocal sounds, growling and grunting, with movement. Many people do it, so it's a good proof.
There was a moment in this last piece where we just saw where the spoken word is played by recorded sound on stage, and then you hear the words rewinded, so it makes no sense anymore. And I think this moment is of rewinding the words made clear that voice or movement without meaning can stand for themselves and has their own value. My question now is, how important is it for you to understand the meaning of spoken words, or is it even important?
Well, sometimes it is really of essential importance to understand every single word, but words can be also used as a wallpaper. You know, it's a voice, it's a human voice that comes out of the human body. So you have that, you take this on board, you understand that it's actually a sound produced by a human being, but you use it as a wallpaper, and you put something else on that. But there are other examples, like, I'm sorry I speak about my work because I know it better than other people's work. In this work, Claude Pascal, which is rather pantomime-like, I've written the text myself. I must say I was very inspired by Eugene Ionesco, a great Romanian playwright, who was one of the co-inventors of absurd theatre, of things that make absolutely no sense. It tells you actually the message is life makes no sense whatsoever, and we try to give it some kind of a form, we try to give it some kind of a line, and we try to make some kind of sense out of all this nonsense that is happening around us. So this is great Eugene Ionesco. But there, it's very important to understand the words very clearly, to understand that they actually mean nothing whatsoever. And I borrowed a little text from Dracula by Bram Stoker.
Talking about this piece, it looked like you somehow, you know, the technique Mickey Mousing, like when the music is doubling the movement, and I thought in this piece you somehow turning it around, so you actually doubling the sound, no?
Yeah, Mickey Mouse, yeah, absolutely, yes, I like that.
And also, I had the feeling you like not only Mickey Mousing, but really alienating words through technical possibilities also. Do you spend a lot of time in sound studios?
Oh yes, I love it actually. I think it's wonderful. But you see, there are the same kind of techniques that are applied to oral experience or to a visual experience. So words can be distorted, they can be perverted, they can be changed according to our needs, how we want to use them in the piece. And a video can be manipulated just the same way. It can be destroyed. It can be made. It can be made disintegrating. It can have all these kind of qualities. So, I like that you ask those questions, because you can see that there are points of reference and there are points of meeting between the physical expression and the vocal expression.
Yeah, is it like when you choreograph somehow the sound? Do you compose it in the same sense like choreographing? Like, is it similar, the process of composing voice with your experience of composing movement?
I'm not sure if I really understand your question, but that doesn't matter. I think
I formulated also complicated.
Yes. Well, yes, you have to compose. Yes. I think composing is a good word, because we compose the sounds, we compose the words, and we compose the choreography. So it's actually part of a certain structure that we are trying to develop that goes actually hand in hand. I think. I try anyway.
Now I have a very difficult question for you.
Another one?
Yes. Okay, sometimes in your pieces the meaning of the word is stylistically so alienated through technical changes of the sound that it appears more like a musical pattern, I think. When does the sound of music become music? No, the sound of voice, sorry. Oh, okay. When does the sound of voice become music?
I think the sound of voice is music anyway. It doesn't matter what you do with it. If you record you and analyze the melody of your voice, it would be really quite fascinating. And it's not only that of the voice that you hear, but it's a scale of tones. There are all kinds of overtones, undertones, hardcore tones that are part of that one sound. So it is music. Voice is music. And you know how classical actors use the singing quality of their voice. You know, all those fantastic old actors. So it is, I think, a voice can be, and maybe should be, regarded as musical expression. Yeah. Maybe. I'm talking nonsense. I think there are all those specialists in music that probably crucify me. That's okay. I'm used to being crucified.
Oh, but this is also a nice occasion to get an exchange or have an exchange with the musicians.